Everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to cover basically the best ways, or basically all the ways to get more leads, more jobs to your home service business. So when I'm talking about a home service business, I'm talking about the roofers, electricians, HVAC, landscaping, whatever that's a home service. These tricks can and most likely will apply to your business. Now, it's going to be a slash in-depth video slash overview video. So I'm going to do at the beginning an overview just of all the ways that we found the leads that worked for our clients in the past that I'm sharing now on YouTube. If ever you want to keep watching, then at the end I'm going to go more in depth into every single one and basically how to do these more in depth. So let's get into the video. Without further ado, let's jump into the Miro board. Alright everyone, so now we're in the Miro board here. Basically this is just a visualization, so it's a blueprint of all the ways you could get more traffic, more leads to your business, and all the other aspects as well. So I'm going to do the first, like I said in the intro, just the overview. So this is basically every single way that we found and that worked for our clients or that worked with other people in the past to get more leads, to get more jobs for your home service business. So these are basically all the ways online, at least, and then we're going to talk about some in real life marketing tactics, but these are going to be mostly the online ways you could get more people to notice your business. That means notice your Google My Business, notice your website, notice your business in general, and then increase then the likelihood that they contact you and so on, so that you actually land the jobs. So let me go do the overview first. So as you see here, this is the section to get more traffic and more leads. So if you could think about your business as a funnel, the first part of the funnel, so the first thing people are going to notice about your business, it's going to be your website, your online presence, your your ads, your whatever it may be. The clients have to, the people have to see you first. So when they see you first, they see you in one of these various ways. So you're going to have your review sites. That's going to be your Google My Business and all the other sites. So your Yelp, Trustpilot, Better Business Bureau, and so on. You have your search engine results. That means how high you rank on Google Maps. So the higher you rank, obviously, the more people are going to get to notice your business. And also goes for Bing SEO. This is something people don't consider, but it's something you could do as well to rank higher on Bing, because around like 2% or 6% of traffic is spent on Bing. Then you got your social media, how to appear in more places and more social medias and engage more with your customers or potential customers. So it's going to be your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all the other secondary ones. Then you got your maps, Google My Business. So a lot of people have their business set up on Google Maps, but one thing you can do is set your business up in Apple Maps, Bing Places for Business, Waze Maps, MapQuest, and all the other maps you may have in your local area. So you just increase the likelihood that people can find you. Basically, if you could think about it this way, you're trying to basically cover yourself on all the different bases across the internet. So basically you want your business to show up everywhere. So wherever someone is looking for your service, wherever someone is thinking about your service, you want to be there, and you want to be there number one, ideally. So when we're going to go in depth, I'm going to talk about the best tactics you could do to do that. Then you got your directories. Directories is going to be, the sites like Google My Business again, but some other sites like Yellow Pages or Manta, Angie, Foursquares, or any other directory dependent on your home service business, where people are looking for those jobs. So let's say somebody's searching for roofer in my town, then you're going to have some directories in there. It's going to be a Yelp, it's going to be whatever it may be, and you want to show up on those, and obviously again show up highest to increase the likelihood that people see you. And all these things, by the way, it seems complicated because there's a lot of information at once, but all these things are relatively simple to set up. You set up a directory, your profile on directories. It's basically just setting up a profile like you would create a social media profile. Same thing for the maps. It's really easy to set up. The most difficult ones are going to be your search engines results, so your SEO, optimizing for SEO, which even there's some easy parts to it. And then your social media, because it's going to depend on so many factors if you want to do it properly. But the rest, it's going to be relatively simple to set up. Then other ways to get more traffic, more leads to your business is going to be asking for referrals. So there's different ways to do this. Obviously you could ask people people you kind of know. But the other thing too is you could go on communities, let's say Facebook groups and stuff like that, and you could ask for referrals there. So instead of just saying, hey, I do XYZ service, you could say in those Facebook groups, hey, does anybody know in this group anyone who's interested in roofing, landscaping, whatever it may be. So if you're tight on leads, tight on jobs, this is the way you could do it. Then after that, you got your referrals, partnerships, joint ventures. You got different ways you could do that there. So you could connect with people, check your referrals there. This is a more long-term strategy. You got your outreach. So if you're interested, you could do some cold DMs. You could set up on your online communities. Again, you could maybe DM those people in those communities. So if you see a community maybe of people interested in gardening or something like that, and you offer landscaping services, you could go on those, LinkedIn groups, school communities, whatever it may be, DM those people and get them as leads. You got your cold emails. You can set those up, cold calls, cold text, voicemail drops. I'm not going to cover these too much in depth, They're less practical for home service businesses. Then you got your past customers. So if you've never contacted your past customers again, maybe you have whatever 20, 100, 500 clients that you've served across the 10 years you've been in business, and you never contacted them again, you never touched back with them. An opportunity that you could take advantage of is contact them again and ask for referrals. So basically you would say, hey XYZ, thank you so much for the service we offered you and whatever. Do you know anyone who's interested in our services? We're back on track, or whatever the messaging may be. You contact them, and what that does is that twofold. So number one, you get them to think about your business again. So now they might even need that service again. So let's say it's a landscaping service and they stop paying for it for whatever reason. Now you contacted them again, and now they might be interested once more. And then they're also going to be able to refer you to other people. So you just basically, again, this is to spread yourself out everywhere online. So as many, get yourself in as many places as you can. And then you got some other miscellaneous strategies, online promotions, in real life promotions, in real life advertising. So you got your banners, your flyers, your yard signs, all that type of stuff, which, by the way, FYI, if you guys want, in the description, I have a link to our templates. So basically it's website templates, ad templates, flyers, marketing templates, all that type of stuff. If you guys want those, you could access it in the link below. It's a paid product, but still, if you're interested, there's a bunch of templates there, so you could just do this in a blink. Now, that's the way to get more traffic, more leads to your business. So this is a general overview here. Now, when you get that traffic, when you get that attention, you want to increase the likelihood that those people actually end up purchasing from you, because it's not obvious, or it's not a direct correlation, meaning, if you get 1,000 people to notice you on social media, social search engines, Google Maps, whatever it may be, it doesn't mean that you're going to get 1,000 people to contact you or 1,000 people to buy from you. So what's going to happen is that they're going to either contact you first, or they're going to check out your website, check out your online reputation, they're going to check out your content, they're going to check you out, basically. They're going to double check you. So what you can do is you could basically increase the likelihood that when they find you, you increase the likelihood they end up contacting you. And the way you could do that is by having a better website. I would say this is the number one thing. So that means structuring it in a proper way, giving them the information they may need, designing it in a way, speeding it up so that they interact with it faster, increase the likelihood they actually end up contacting you, improve your online reputation, ask for a bunch of reviews, get high quality reviews, distribute them across all platforms and respond to them. Just basically makes your reputation solid, makes you a real authoritative source in your market. If you're a business starting out, you probably don't have reviews because you don't even have clients. What I would say is that you could even do free services or small services, meaning you could do a $10 service and still ask for a review. So if you have those services that you could do quickly, or maybe you could do for free for people, you could spend a day doing that. You could get yourself 30, 40 reviews on the fly. So that's going to be the idea with that. Then you got your content. You could do, user-generated content, testimonial content, educational content. Basically, you want to do content, in this case, to increase conversions. You want to do content that basically just shows them, a little bit like I'm doing right now, just shows the person who you are, what you do, explain to them, maybe educate them on something about your business, and then that's going to increase the likelihood they end up contacting you and purchasing something from you. Now, when you've optimized, so let's say if we go back from the top, you've got a lot of people to notice your business, you got from all these various ways. Then you got people to convert at a higher percentage, meaning you get more people to actually contact you. Now that they contacted you, it's a matter of closing them on the call or on the meeting or whatever it may be. So how do you increase that likelihood that of happening? Now there's a bunch of sales tactics. I don't really go into sales calls and optimizing for that per se, but what you can do is you could automate a lot of these things through AI or through just general automations, where you could get email messages sent back to them. You could get appointment reminders, appointment confirmations, missed call text backs. You could do a bunch of these automations. Like I could go here, even in DMs you could set up AI chatbots. In the emails you could say AI chatbots, and in your text and whatever, just to keep engaging with people, to increase then the likelihood that if they end up contacting you, you actually increase the likelihood they actually end up purchasing something from you. So now in case of appointments, you might have somebody took an appointment online on your website. You might have a thank you page after, just giving them more information, which is going to increase the likelihood they end up showing up to their meeting. You have appointment reminders. You could do some warm-up flows, basically warm them up before the call. before the quote, before the inspection, before the sales or the demo, whatever it may be. You get some post-consultation flow. So after you've done the quote, after you presented the quote, you could do an email sequence. You send them 3 emails, just reiterating who you are, giving them case studies and so on. So this is a more complex aspect of it. It's a little bit more intensive to do, but it's something that if I were to do the most simple ones, it would be appointment reminders. If you set up appointment reminders, you increase the likelihood people show up to the appointments, are there on time, and so on, and that's going to save you a lot of time, and it costs you, software is probably going to cost you $30 a month to set up the whole thing. So, and you get yourself, 10% more people to show up on calls. Then for walk-ins, you got different things, but for most home service businesses, walk-ins is not really a concern. Then after that, at the end, which I'm not going to cover too much, you've got how to increase the LTV, so the lifetime value of the client, so how much a client spends with you, how to increase that amount. So you got a bunch of different things, your services, your commissions, partnerships, products, and so on, but this video is focused more on getting you more jobs, more leads. Now, this is the overview of how to do this for free, basically. So how to do this without doing paid ads. Now, what you can do is you could also boost it with paid ads. You could basically increase the speed of it, the intensity of it with paid ads. All these strategies I was talking about before, unless you're hiring out an agency, they're basically free. So in terms of online paid advertising, you got your search engine ads, you got your Facebook ads, directory ads, other social media, sponsorships, and so on. You could do a bunch of different variations of those. You could get influencers, you could get, Google ads, Facebook ads, all these ad platforms have their place. There's potentially profits for you to be made. So that's going to be one there, but again, I'm not going to cover that too much in this video. So that's basically the overview. Now I'm going to go more in depth into the best ones and how you can actually set these things up within your business and what you could actually do, like an actual, list of things you could come out of this video doing. So first thing I'm going to go through is back to the top, how to get more traffic, more leads. So basically how to get more people's attention to your business. I would say if you want to do this as fast as possible, the easiest things you could do is basically you create a profile on every single platform there is. So you create one on Google My Business. If you don't have it claimed, claim it. Create one on Yelp, Trustpilot, Better Business Bureau, TripAdvisor, any other site that you might have in your business, in your field. You want to create a profile on that, and you want to make it nice. You want to, have your images properly set up, have your text, descriptions. Make it full, like fully put it, and then put a bunch of images in there. And then the other thing too, you want to keep in mind whenever you're doing these is keeping the NAP the same. NAP stands for name, address, and phone number. What that basically means is that you want to have the same business name, the same address, and the same phone number on all these platforms. So Google recognizes them within the Google basically. So they're going to understand that all these platforms or all these sites are all linking to the same place, or all about the same business, and that's going to help with your SEO. It's going to help with just in general Google linking you in better ways. So that's going to be the pro tip there. So I would say number one, create a profile on all these things. There's softwares to do this. There's software called Yext that you could do this for. Costs you I think it's $70 a month US. Might not be worth it for you. In any case, what you can do is you could just set these up yourself. Yext, what they do is that they charge you monthly, because if ever you want to change things, they're going to change it on all of them at once. If you're just thinking creating it once, maybe you could take half a day to do these. And this is something we've noticed for the businesses we worked with, where just in terms of SEO, it's worth it to do this. So not even, you might get some leads from these places, you might get people to notice you, but this is an SEO strategy. It's called backlinking. You're basically getting other websites to link to your main website. So Yelp is going to be linking to you, Trustpilot is going to be linked to you, because you're going to have a profile on those, and you're going to have your website linked there. So that's going to be the idea with that. The most important one is going to be your Google My Business. You want to optimize it as best as you can, basically add every single information there is, and that's going to be pretty much the idea there. Now, and by the way, if you want a training, I have a training going over how to optimize your Google My Business. So I have those for free. So if you want access to those, you could link, I think it's going to be in the description below as well as in the comments. So you can access all those. I have 12 of these. So about review sites, websites, and so on. You could download those for free and basically go through a checklist to do this for yourself. So that's the idea there. In terms of search engine results, again, this is going to be the more complicated one, but if you were to do it the simplest and quickest way possible, you're going to want to do your front-end SEO. And what that means is your title tags and meta descriptions for every single page on your website. You want it to be different, and you want it to be filled with keywords about your business. So I have videos going over this more in depth, because it's kind of difficult to just do an overview. But in theory, what you want to do is you want to have the best keywords So the keywords that are most relative to your business, and you want to have those within your title tags and meta descriptions. If I could give you an example of a meta tag, a meta description and a title tag. If you go here, this is a title tag and this is a meta description. This is a title tag, this is a meta description. So you could change these things. So when somebody's seeing your website online on Google, now these are sponsored, but if I were to go to the free one, yeah. So you see, this is the title tag, this is the meta description, you could change these. So you could put keywords in there, you could change the text on there. And so if you've never done this, this might appear poorly. And so you could change this so it appears a lot better for clients, increase the likelihood that they contact you, and then helps also Google rank you higher. So that's going to be the main idea here for SEO. Again, there's a lot more to it, but just for this video to keep it short, I'm going to just go over there that. Now, for social media, this is a little bit more difficult to have a, like an answer that applies to everyone. Social media is going to depend on, what type of industry you're in, what type of content you can do, what type of platforms you have, what type of, business you have. So the idea generally, if you want, would be do content, maybe once a week, just to at least look alive. I would say that would be the bare minimum of your business. So basically it would be maybe a video a week, it could be a short, it could be just, time lapse of whatever work you've done this week. And just post that every single week on all these platforms. You could do it cross platforms. There's a bunch of softwares to help you do that. And the idea would be that if you do that, you just look professional. It just basically helps your online reputation. So it just makes you look like, okay, this business is alive. Because I see a lot of businesses, home service businesses, where they started posting maybe 5 years ago, they stopped. And so when you get to their Instagram, it says last posted 527 weeks ago. And so that doesn't really look good in the customer's eyes, because they see that, they think, this business is closed, this business isn't doing anything anymore, I shouldn't contact them. So if you just at least look alive, that would be the bare minimum. Then the rest, you could start doing the content strategies and so on. And there's a bunch of videos online to help you with that. Now, maps. This is going to be the same idea as the review sites. You just basically want to create a profile on all of these. Again, relatively easy to set up, and most of them connect with your Google My Business. So it's they kind of do it automatically for you. So that's going to be your Apple Maps, Bing Places for Business, Waze Maps, MapQuest, and all the other maps maybe in your local area, in your region that people use. You want to have those so that if ever they're using their maps to search, because sometimes people search for businesses on Google Maps. Well, people do that on Apple Maps as well. They do that on Bing Places for Business, they do that on Waze. So if you could appear on those places, most of your competitors are not gonna. And so if 5% of traffic is going through here, and you're gonna be the #1 spot there because nobody else is doing this. So this would be, I would say, this is a hidden gem here. In terms of directories, this is gonna be all the other sites you could think of. So if you have a list of 30, 40 sites, again, it takes you half a day. You set it up on all, you get a Google Doc, you get your title, you get your description, you get all your information, you just copy paste. Boom, 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 set it up on everything, had the same images, just upload them. It's gonna take you, I'm keeping repeating myself, but half a day. Then in terms of referrals, a little bit difficult to have a quick strategy here, but what I would say is you can go on your communities, Facebook groups, whatever that you're in, or that you wanna sign up to, go on there and just ask for referrals. Just say, hey, does anybody know anyone who's interested in XYZ service? I'm doing these for whatever promotion you're having right now. There's more, in-depth ways to do this. Again, you can look at Alex Hormozi. Alex Hormozi has a lot of videos about that. But generally, you just want to do it, at the base minimum. Just asking is pretty much going to get you pretty good results if you've never done this in the past. Partnerships, joint ventures, again, they're a little bit more difficult to set up, a little bit longer. Outreach, I would say for most local service businesses, home service businesses, unless you're doing commercial work, I don't think outreach works that well. I haven't tested it myself, so I can't say for sure. But I would say cold email will probably be the best one if you're doing commercial work, because maybe you could contact people in the business if they're looking for that type of service. That could be a good use of your time, especially if the order is bigger. So meaning, if you're doing a $200,000 contract, or if you're spending all that time doing cold emails, it might be worth it for you. But if you're just doing, a $500 landscaping job, then the cold email system might not be worth it. Online communities, again, you could go on these online communities and post. Past customers, newsletters, infinity flows. I went over this basically in the overview. And you got your miscellaneous strategies, which again, if ever you want the templates, they're going to be linked below. Now, in terms of getting more traffic, more leads, the best ways I would say to convert more of this traffic is basically get as many reviews as possible. That would be the number one thing to do. But high quality reviews as well, but the more is usually better, even if it's your same rating. I would say if you could get your rating up to a 4.8, 4.9 star, it's actually the best rating metric you could have. An actual 5 out of 5 star rating is actually worse for conversions. Actually, people trust it less. So 4.8, 4.9, 4.9 is actually the best. So you want to have a 4.9 rating if you can play with that. Then in terms of review quantity, you want to ask every single client you've ever had. You want to ask all the old clients. You want to ask your new clients, the ones you're doing current work for. Miscellaneous strategies. You could offer, lower ticket services. So like I was explaining before, if you have a $10 service, $100 service, maybe you offer it for free for a week, and you just to crank out those reviews. So if you see your competitors have better reviews than you, I would say this is the number one thing you could do to make your business stand out and look a lot more legit. Because a lot of people, especially nowadays, and more as we go on, are going to look at reviews to make their opinions about your business. And so if you don't have a lot of reviews, their opinion is not going to be that great. It's going to tend to be worse than what it could be if you had a lot of reviews. So that's going to be that there. And then you got your review asking tools. So that's going to be basically, you've got your tap cards. So basically these are like business cards, but with a QR code or a tap system where basically you could tap with your phone and get a review and leave a review. So basically it would be like, you could imagine this as your business card. You would have your business card. The client would be here with their phone. They would just tap it, literally just tap it like this. It would link them to your Google My Business profile, and they could leave a review automatically. So instead of you having to, when you're asking them for a review, send it by email or, in real life, sending them the code or the link or whatever, just going to be a click, take their phone, boom, and they're done. So that's going to be the idea there. Now, in terms of review quality, here the thing is with review quality, you can't really, obviously you want reviews to be honest and transparent and authentic, but one thing you can do is you can have a bad review filter. So if you have clients that you're not too sure about, what you could do is you could ask them first to leave you a review, not by giving them the link to your Google My Business, but by just asking them about their experience. If their experience was positive, then you send them the link. If their experience was negative, then you maybe resolve the issue and then you send them the link. So just, if you want to ensure you're getting good reviews, this is the best ways you could do that, or else you get into manipulation. So best to stay away. Review distribution. If you want to have the best reviews or better than your competitors, Google My Business could probably be the most important one, but then you got all the other ones. So see in your local market what are people spending the most time on, which review platforms they trust the most. If it's Trustpilot, then get a bunch of reviews there. If it's Google My Business, get a bunch of reviews there. I would say Google My Business is pretty much universal. And I would say Trustpilot and Yelp are probably the top two, depending what type of service you have. You could ask the same client to leave you a bunch of reviews on all of these, by the way. So there's no guidelines, no rules against that. So you could just basically get the same, if you could convince them, give them a freebie or whatever it may be, you could get them to leave a review on all these platforms all at once. Responding to reviews, you want to respond to every single review you have, positive and negative ones. This has twofold of an impact. Number one, if you respond to negative reviews, you might get people to change their opinion. You might express something they didn't think of. You might, change your opinion. They might change the review. So it might lead you to a better ranking, a better rating. Number two, you're going to get more people to think about your business because they're going to get notified that you responded to the review. And so if they get notified, then you increase the likelihood that they purchase your service again. And plus, I would say a third point is that you actually look better online. If you have better reviews, if you respond to those reviews, you respond to even the negative ones, that just helps you with your online reputation. So it just makes you look a lot more legit and a lot more caring about your customer's experience. So that's going to be that. In terms of websites, it's a little bit more difficult to do. I would say this is the reason why we created the templates. It's a little bit more difficult to do, how could you say, from scratch, and think of everything in all the different aspects. But main idea, if you are to build your website, you want to structure it in a way where you're addressing basically all the most important questions people have, all the biggest objections, from biggest to worst, to lowest. Meaning if people are worried about, let's say you're a roofing company, and the biggest objections people have, or the biggest questions people have about your business is, can I trust you? How long is the guarantee? And do you have, or how expensive are you? Well, in your website, you want to address those from most important to least important. So the first section is going to be about that. Second section is going to be about your reviews maybe, and then third section is going to be about your price. So that's how you're going to structure your website depending on whatever your business might need. That's going to be that. Then in terms of design, I have videos going over that, but what you want to basically do is you want to make it as congruent across all platforms. You want your website to represent, your whole brand, so that every single place someone goes to see your business, it looks the same. And then within your website, you want to make it as engaging as possible. So you want your buttons to be as bright as possible to make them, to increase the likelihood they click on them. You want to, increase your testimonials, put images, put video testimonials to get people more engaged on it. So you just basically want to use psychology a little bit of branding to engage people a lot more with your website. That's going to be the idea there. Then you've got your website speed. In terms of website speed, you got images and videos. So if you have a website, maybe I can show you a little stat here. So this is conversion rate metrics depending on the speed of your website. So if your website is loading from 0 to 1 second loading speed, 1 to 2 second, 2 to 3 second, you can see how the conversions drop. So this is the percentage of people that end up contacting you from visiting your website. Now this is not a universal graph, but still, just for the example in this video. So you see how getting a website under 1 second loading time is the best for conversions. And so the idea would be that the faster you get your website, the more likely you're going to get someone to contact you. So what you can do is you could reduce the file size of the images. So turn the images, compress the images. So you could, there's a tool called Tiny PNG. You go on there, it compresses the images for you. You re-upload those images on your website. Change the fonts to fonts that use less, fonts that are less heavy for search engines to load. So that's going to be your WOFF2 fonts, WOFF2 fonts. So instead of using fancy fonts, you use those standard ones. It's going to speed up your website, reduce the animations, and reduce some code in the backend. That's going to be the idea there. And then in terms of content, again, same thing as before for social media. Difficult to say for all businesses, but in general, what you want to do is you just want to appear alive. And if you post once a week that does that job, then if you want to go a step above and just have actual content that people want to engage with, then that's going to be something else to do. So that's the idea there. Now, the last part here, which difficult to go into depth because it's more of a complex subject, but how to get more of those leads into actual clients. I would say if you want, the best tips here, I would say get a missed call text back automation. So basically whenever you're missing a call, maybe you're working from 9 to 5, you miss those calls, you want to text them back. And that increases the likelihood that when you actually, let's say they call you at 6, you close at 5, you can't answer them. It sends them a text back saying, hey, sorry I missed your call, I'll be calling you back tomorrow morning, tomorrow AM, signed whatever business name. What's going to happen is that when you call them back tomorrow, they're expecting your call. So it's not just they called you, they get a random call from a random number the next day, they think it's a scam, they close it. So that increases and engages your client a lot more. How much of a percentage improvement does that do? Depend on so many factors, but this is, I would say, one of the best at least tips you could set up. And again, softwares are going to be relatively cheap to set this up for the amount of value you get from it. In terms of AI chatbots, you can create those, but again, a little bit more complex, automated responses and so on. I would say best ones are going to be missed call text backs, and then it's going to be appointment reminders. These are going to be the easiest one to set up. So appointment reminders, you set up an appointment reminder 24 hours before, 3 hours before, 1 hour before the appointment. That just increases your show up rate. And so the more people show up to the appointments, the more people you can actually end up closing and sealing the deal with. So whether you're doing quotes, whether you're doing consultations, whether you're doing whatever type of offer you have, if you have these appointment reminders, just increase the likelihood they show up. And so the more people show up, the more you could actually close. As simple as that. So that's going to be basically the idea here of how to get more jobs for your home service business in 2025. Now, if you guys want, again, like I mentioned before, the templates, we have 100 templates. So maybe I could show you here. Let me just show you the page. It's going to load 2 seconds. So if you guys want templates, we have templates covering, funny enough, I'm talking about website speed. So we have templates covering, ads, websites, business cards, flyers, door hangers, and so on. So if you guys are interested in those, they're going to be linked in the description below. These are made for home service businesses, so this is going to be for you. Or else you could go on my YouTube channel. I have a bunch of videos covering these subjects in depth. So basically how to do these for yourself. All this information is out for free. But if you want these templates, it just makes it easier for you to do the work. And this is going to be the sale of the video, but or else all the information for the video is completely free, and I have other videos again to do this for you. So that's the idea here. Thank you guys for watching. And one last thing, if you want 12 free trainings, you could download those also in the description below. So if you want something free, it's basically going to be a document form of all the videos. So whatever I'm talking about in the videos, now you have it in PDF form. Well, it's not a PDF, but whatever, in PDF format, and then you could just read through it at your pace, and you know, it's going to be more in depth also. It's going to have more explanations, more examples, and so on and so forth. So that's the idea. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. Helps me out a lot. And hope to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.